Hello, fellow ETLers. Come to you today with a press conference to give you kind of a preview of what's going to be going down moving forward in the Elite 10 League. Going to have weekly press conferences such as this. Hopefully by next year we'll have a little better makeup, a little better quality for what they're going to be, but for now this is what we're going to go with. Have some topics to discuss today. A lot of changes going to be made going into next year, and I was thinking about putting them up to a vote, but then I thought about it and thought that I'm the league manager, so I'm just going to make those decisions myself. Some of these aren't definite, could use some tweaking, and definitely aren't set in stone yet, but this is what we're going to look forward to for next year. I'll start off with going through this past year very quickly. Had a good year, still got 4 teams in it. Pretty much the same 4 teams that have been performing all year. Multiple scoregasms came on in the second half. Rode the Chiefs, Mahomes, and Hunt charge, and ended up being Des Vault, which is Pat May, Deacon Pat May, myself for Creed Thoughts, multiple scoregasms, which is Robert Fialco, and our last was Will Sally, who is Billy in 4C. So those 4 will look forward to trying to get some of us our first Super Bowl win. Des Vault already has one last year. He's the reigning champ, so he'll try to go for back-to-back, something we've never had happen. As far as league changes go, we had a owner get booted from the league this year, as you saw in the text message this morning, RIP. But if you don't set your lineup and you play bye-week players, that's just what's going to happen every year. You're not going to be in the league, simple as that. So the new owner, I do have a new owner. I've already spoken with him. We have a contract in place. Signed it this morning. He has signed a 5-year deal. No, I'm just kidding. But the new owner is going to be a buddy of mine. His name's Luke List. He's a local plumber here in Augusta, Georgia. So yeah, if you guys have any plumbing issues, he's your guy. He'll be in the league next year. Look forward to having him. He's a big fantasy football guy, avid fantasy football guy. Wouldn't have recruited him if he wasn't. So we look forward to bringing him in next year. He's already talking smack, so we'll see what he can do. So that's the new owner that we have coming in next year. Now let's get down to the changes we're going to make. First change we're going to make is we're going to have a last place punishment next year. I went through a bunch of lists, a bunch of them on a list, and there was some very good ones on there. I didn't want to get one that was out of the realm of possibility that nobody would really do, and I wanted to find one that was reasonable, but it's still going to be a pain in the ass to do at the end of the day. So the one at the top of my list and the one I want to go with, it's not set in stone, like none of this is set in stone, but what I want to do is that you're going to have to find a 5K, which is 3.1 miles, sign up for it, and you're going to have to run in a 5K, or you can walk it. Either way, it's only 3 miles, shouldn't be anything strenuous. And you have to wear a t-shirt saying, "I came in last place in fantasy football. This is my punishment," type deal. So we'll be there to take pictures of you. If you're an out-of-towner, you have to have a picture to document yourself crossing the finish line and starting the race, that kind of thing. But a last place punishment definitely needs to be put in place. We can't have these people slacking. I know you can hear me. All right, so somebody called my phone, messed the video up, so we're starting over. Or we're starting where we left off. Next thing we're going to change is the money breakdown. This year we have a money breakdown of a $1,000 pot. First place gets $700, second place gets $200, and $100 to the points champion, overall regular season points champion. Next year we're going to add some awards to keep things fun, and I think there should be some effort late in the season for those teams who didn't make the playoffs and have something for them to play for. So we are going to do a consolation bracket prize of $50, and we're going to do 2 more $25 awards. These are a little bit funner. We're going to do the Lucky Bastard Award. That's going to be for the most points scored in one single week throughout the season. That one's going to be $25. And the next one we're going to do is the Unlucky Bastard Award. And that's going to be $25 for the team who scored the most points in a week but lost the game. That's probably my favorite one out of the stuff I've added, because everyone has that week where they score 130 something plus, and somebody comes in and mops the floor with them and scores 150. So a little silver lining there if you lose that game. Getting into as far as the changes to the league itself, probably the biggest one I have to say first before I get into the other ones is we're going to do a platform change. I've been looking into this for a while. I mentioned it to you guys. ESPN, after doing some research, seems to be like a dinosaur in the fantasy football industry as far as capabilities, interaction, user interface, that kind of stuff. And I've went through several, but I came across one that Des Vault recommended that he's in another league. It's called SleeperBot. It's a super cool looking fantasy football platform. Their app seems to be like what they preach. Is their app has all this functionality, and there's a ton of stuff that differentiates them from ESPN in a good way. But you can look that up for yourself. They're where you can see the differences. The best website is support.sleeper.app. I know that sounds weird. Sleeperbot.app. So support.sleeperbot.app. App. That's where you can go look at the differences in the platforms, and it shows you why it's better than ESPN and Yahoo and that kind of stuff. Has a group chat built into the app, all that kind of stuff. Just really cool stuff. So that leads me into what we're going to do as far as changes in the league and the scoring and the rosters and how all that works, the waiver wires. We're going to change all of that. So what we're going to go with is something I've wanted to do as far as the rosters go is quarterbacks are vastly undervalued in fantasy football. They're the most important player on the field in real football, and they should be the most important player on your team in fantasy football. So what we're going to do, something I wanted to do for a long time to bring the importance of quarterbacks back, is we're going to have a 2-quarterback league. We're going to have an extra roster slot in there for a second quarterback. So this will bring all those guys that clog up the waiver wire, all those quarterbacks, good quarterbacks that are on our waiver wire, are going to come into play now. Something that I think is going to be really cool, brings more strategy to the league. And like I said, it's going to be an extra roster spot as opposed to taking something out. Still going to have 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, a flex, and a defense and a kicker. So something exciting that I think everyone will end up liking, even if you don't at first. Just makes you do more homework, makes you pay attention closer. That's what all these changes are driven to do. Another one is, this is one that pretty much everyone does but us, so I'm open to changing to it. Everyone's kind of been on me about it, is the half-point PPR. We're going to go to that next year. We're going to change to the half-point PPR. We're kind of behind the times on our scoring system, so I was against it a couple years ago, but I kind of like it. I'm in another league with it, and I do kind of like it, so we're going to change to that. That's a simple one. Everybody's used to that, probably from another league anyways. The third thing we're going to do is a new waiver wire structure. There's a few different ways you can do this. I used to be in favor of the last place team getting first pick to try and balance the league out throughout the year and keep it balanced, but it's not fair to the guys at the top, and it's not just because I've been at the top this year. I'm not saying that just because I'm up there this year. It's not fair to those guys. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a budget-based waiver wire. So what that is you start the year with a budget, and you're going to bid on waiver picks each week. Okay, you start say $100 for easy numbers' sake. It's going to be a blind bid, so you're not going to be able to see what anyone else bids. And if Le'Veon Bell, like this year, Le'Veon Bell gets hurt during the middle of the year, James Conner, if he's not on somebody's team already, would obviously be a hot waiver target. So there's going to be a bidding war on him, and you're going to have to decipher out of your $100 allotted for the entire year. You only get $100 for the whole year. How much you want to bid and how much you think you can bid to lock him down. If it's worth $50 and you don't think anyone's going to bid that, but you think he's worth, James Conner's worth a first round value, you know what I mean? $50 out of your waiver pot is worth first round value. There's no doubt about it. So you might want to spend a little extra, but most waiver picks, hot picks, are going to go for $8 to $12 is what I'm seeing. So you'll get a good, as far as difference makers on your team, you'll have at least a shot at 8 or 9 players a year, which is about what no one gets any more than that per year anyways, as far as players who will actually make a difference. The way it'll work the rest of the week is it's 12:05 a.m. Tuesday, or I guess it would be, Tuesday morning is when we're used to the ESPN mode now where it's 4:30 in the morning. You wake up and the next morning you have to see what process at 4:30. 12:05 a.m. Is when SleeperBot, have to get used to that. SleeperBot's waiver picks update. So once they come out, one of the other changes to this new waiver format is there's going to be no more going in and picking up a guy because an injury report comes out at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and one guy's working and he's tied up and he can't see it on his ESPN app and you can, so you get that player. That's not going to fly either. So the way this waiver system is going to work is that 12:05, each day is going to have a bid on it. So Tuesday, from 12:05 to 12:05 Tuesday, you can bid on players that day as well. And at 12:05 on Wednesday, it releases the players that are bid on Wednesday morning. Same thing as Monday night through Tuesday morning, if that makes sense. And then Wednesday, if an injury happens, a guy can't just go in and grab a guy. And just because he sees it before somebody else. Everyone will have their opportunity, as long as it's within that 24-hour period on Wednesday, to go in and bid on that guy. So it's fair game. Whoever wants to spend the most, whoever's willing to spend the most gets him. So there's no one guy can be busy and this guy happens to be on the shitter and he gets his phone update and grabs the player. No more of that. Each day, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, all the way up until Sunday, there's going to be a 12:05 a.m. to 12:05 a.m. 24-hour period where you can bid on players per day. I think that's a fair waiver system. Waiver picks should matter. They should hold weight. You should have to think hard about if you want to spend money on this guy. That should be something that's like an exciting thing each week to see who bid what on the waiver wire. So that's something we're going to go to. It's called I believe it's called Free Agent Budget Bidding. FAB is what they call it, Free Agent Budget Bidding. So that's how our waiver system is going to work starting next year. I'll go over it further. We can discuss it in the text thread if anybody's confused. The next thing on the list is a keeper league. This is something that a lot of leagues do, a lot of very hardcore leagues do, where you keep a player from your previous year's roster. There's a bunch of different ways you can do this. There's mainly the two ways are you keep a player, any player. So it would obviously be like, for me, it'd be like Todd Gurley, any player. Or you keep a player that I had drafted in this year's draft, 7th round or later. What this does is it benefits the players who do their homework on draft night and get those guys in the late rounds that they think are going to turn into studs that no one else picked up. It benefits you more than anyone else for doing your homework. Those first 7 rounds, anyone can pick. All the stats are in front of you. Anyone can pick the correct roster. So what this does is, first of all, it makes the draft more exciting. That first round, having those Gurleys and Bells and all those guys, up for grabs in the draft. It would make the draft very boring to have all those guys already kept on teams. So I would be more in favor of a keeper league where even if the player's not on your roster anymore, if you traded him, like Will Sally got Nick Chubb this year late, and he traded him. Well, in a keeper league, he thinks, some people might think he might not be able to get him back. No, this goes off of who you drafted. Even if you trade them throughout the year, as long as you drafted them the previous year, 7th round or later, If you released them, if they got hurt, you dropped them to the waivers, that stuff happens. So as long as you drafted them the previous season, you can lock them as your sleeper for next year. There's no penalty. Some people do, where if you picked them in the 8th round, you don't have an 8th round pick that next year because you're using your sleeper. You're using your keeper. That we're not going to do that. We're just going to do. You can keep them on your roster and then draft an additional roster. So I'm in favor of the 7th round or later keeper league. We can do it the other way, where you just keep any player off of your team for the next year. But again, that's going to really take away from how fun the draft night is in that first round of seeing who gets first pick and those first round players going off the board, because they'll already be assigned to teams, which isn't cool. The last part about the keeper league is how long do you get to keep the player once you keep him. We're going to do 1 year. So you keep him for the next season, and then he gets recycled back into the player lottery for the next season. And then you would keep your player, another player the next year that you drafted 7th round or after. So you're not going to be able to keep them for eternity. We're going to do 1 year, and they go back into the player lottery after you keep them that next year. I hope that makes sense for y'all. If you have any questions, just text me directly, or if you think any of this is unfair, we can discuss it in the thread. But the main things I'm looking at doing are the new waiver system with a budget of $100 in the year, and you bid. It's going to make waiver picking very, very strategic, which I want. No more of this just grabbing somebody whenever you want type thing. And there being no penalty for it. So that one, we're going to have the new roster format with the 2 quarterback system, which I think is going to be the best addition to the league that we make. I think it's going to make the league way funner. The 0.5 PPR, the half-point PPR, and the keeper league. Those are the changes to the league as far as the playing in the game goes. Then you have the new money breakdown, the last place punishment, which I love, and that's about it. So thank you guys. Hope this video worked this time, or else I'm going to be doing it a 3rd time. Look forward to seeing you guys next year at the draft. If I haven't seen you already, have a good one. League Owner out.